Welcome back to the channel Numisma coin collectors and history lovers. Today, we dive deep into the fascinating story of the 1969 Five New Pence coin, a shining symbol of Britain's transition from the old to the new era of decimal currency. This small yet powerful coin represents a turning point in the history of British money, marking the beginning of modernization under Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Let's explore how this coin became a piece of history that still captures the attention of collectors worldwide. Top 3 first up. The 1969 Five New Pence coin was part of the United Kingdom's early decimal coinage system. Before 1971, Britain used pounds, shillings, and pence in a complex structure that had existed for centuries. But the late 1960s brought change, modernization, and a new approach to money. The Five New Pence coin was among the first decimal coins to appear, symbolizing a bridge between traditional British values and modern currency design. It was introduced as part of the government's preparation for full decimalization. The idea of simplifying the British currency system had been discussed for decades, but it was in the late 1960s that it truly took shape. Decimalization meant dividing the pound into 100 new pence rather than 240 old pennies. To help the public adjust to this new system, coins like the Five New Pence were introduced early. The 1969 issue was significant because it continued the transition process that began in 1968 with the coins being circulated alongside shillings and florins. The design of the 1969 Five New Pence coin reflected both tradition and modern elegance. The obverse featured the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold, one of the most iconic royal images ever used on British coins. The Queen is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a graceful and refined image that became familiar across all UK coinage during the late 1960s and 1970s. Her youthful profile symbolized the new age of progress and national pride. The reverse of the 1969 Five New Pence coin displayed a stylized crown thistle, the national emblem of Scotland, designed by Christopher Ironside. The design celebrated the unity of the United Kingdom while giving a nod to Scotland's heritage. The thistle, surrounded by the inscription New Pence, stood for resilience, beauty, and strength, qualities deeply tied to British identity. The crown above the thistle symbolized royal authority and the continuing tradition of monarchy. The 1969 Five New Pence was minted in, composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a bright, silvery color and durable finish. It weighed 5.65 grams and had a diameter of 23.59 millimeters, the same size as the old one-shilling coin, which made it easy for the public to adapt during the transition. This smart design choice meant that the new decimal coin could temporarily circulate alongside its pre-decimal equivalent. When the 1969 coin entered circulation, it was met with curiosity and some confusion. Many people in Britain were still adjusting to the concept of new pence, but the government's gradual introduction plan worked smoothly. The coin quickly became part of daily life, used for small transactions like bus fares, groceries, and newspapers. It was a coin of convenience and progress, marking a shift in how British citizens understood minting and production details. The Royal Mint produced millions of Five New Pence coins in 1969 to prepare for full decimalization in 1971. The production quality was high, and the coins were made to last. However, not all 1969 coins went into general circulation. Some were specially struck for collector sets or proof issues, which today are particularly prized among numismatists for their mirror-like surfaces and detailed strikes. Although the 1969 Five New Pence is not considered rare in general circulation, it holds historical importance as one of the earliest decimal coins. Proof and uncirculated versions, especially those in mint condition, have become more valuable to collectors. Their worth can vary depending on condition, presentation, packaging, and provenance. For example, a brilliant uncirculated 1969 coin can fetch several pounds, while proof specimens in Royal Mint sets can be worth significantly more. Withdrawal and replacement. The original large-sized coins, including the 1969 issue, remained in circulation for more than 2 decades. However, by 1990 they were replaced by a smaller coin to make carrying change easier. The older large coins were withdrawn from circulation in 1991, making the 1969 version a relic of the early decimal era. This transition marked the end of an important chapter in British numismatic history, Queen Elizabeth II's portrait legacy. The 1969 Five New Pence coin also represents one of the earliest periods of Queen Elizabeth II's long reign to be immortalized in metal. The portrait used on the coin remained in use until 1984, symbolizing continuity and stability. Collectors today see this coin as a nostalgic reminder of Britain under the young Queen's rule, a time of modernization, optimism, and transformation, symbolism, and national pride. Beyond its monetary value, the 1969 coin carried deep symbolism. It represented a proud moment in British innovation and adaptability. The inclusion of the Scottish thistle signified unity across the United Kingdom, while the Queen's portrait reaffirmed the strength and grace of the monarchy. Every detail on the coin told a story of resilience and national pride. Collectors mark it today. Today, 1969, 5 new pence coins are commonly found in old collections, coin albums, and inherited sets. While circulated examples may not hold high monetary value, their historical charm makes them popular among beginner collectors. Uncirculated or proof pieces, however, are steadily gaining appreciation as early examples of Britain's decimal history, especially among those who specialize in Elizabeth II coinage, educational and historical importance. For historians and educators, the 1969 coin offers a perfect example of how economic systems evolve. It showcases Britain's ability to modernize while preserving tradition. The coin teaches us about art, economics, and national unity all in one small metallic disc. Many museums and educational institutions still display this coin as part of Britain's remarkable transition story from pre-decimal to decimal money. Final thoughts and thank you note. In conclusion, the 1969 5 new pence coin is much more than just a piece of metal. It's a piece of British history that tells the story of change, modernization, and national identity under Queen Elizabeth II. Whether you're a collector, historian, or simply fascinated by the past, this coin reminds us of the beauty hidden in everyday currency. Thank you for joining this journey into numismatic history, and remember, sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest stories. Next coins. Next up. The 1979 5 new pence coin is one of the iconic decimal coins of the United Kingdom, minted during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. This coin carries significant historical and numismatic value, as it represents the continuing evolution of the British currency system following the major decimalization event of 1971. It is a fascinating piece of history that captures a transitional period in the UK's monetary design, economy, and national identity under the long and remarkable rule of Queen Elizabeth II. The story of the 5 new pence begins with the decimalization of British currency on February 15, 1971. Prior to that date, the British monetary system was based on pounds, shillings, and pence, a complex structure where 1 pound equaled 20 shillings and 1 shilling equaled 12 pence. The move to a decimal system made the currency much easier to use and more compatible with modern economies. The new pence coins were introduced to help people adjust to the change. The 5 new pence replaced the old 1 shilling coin, and for several years both circulated side by side. By 1979, the 5 new pence coin had already become a familiar part of everyday British life. It was struck by the Royal Mint in large numbers for circulation, reflecting the country's economic stability and modernization efforts. The coin was made of cupronickel, an alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a bright, silver-like appearance and strong durability against wear. The coin's composition and design represented a balance between practicality and elegance, which was a hallmark of British coinage. The obverse side front of the 1979 5 new pence coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machen, one of the most respected sculptors and designers of British coinage. His portrait, introduced in 1968, shows the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a timeless image of grace, dignity, and modern monarchy. The legend around the portrait reads Elizabeth II DGREG. FD, which stands for Elizabeth II de Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The reverse side back of the coin was designed by Christopher Ironside, another renowned designer who created many decimal coin designs. It displays the badge of Scotland, a crown thistle symbolizing one of the 4 nations of the United Kingdom. The thistle, a national emblem of Scotland, has been used on British coins for centuries and represents endurance and pride. Below the thistle, the denomination is clearly writ as new pence followed by the numeral 5. The inclusion of new pence instead of simply pence was intentional. It was meant to help distinguish the new decimal coins from the pre-decimal ones, as many people were still adjusting to the newly introduced system. However, by the early 1980s, the British public had become fully accustomed to the decimal currency, and in 1982, the word new was officially dropped from the coinage. Thus, coins minted from 1979 still carry the new pence inscription, marking them as part of that early decimal era. In terms of physical details, the 1979 5 new pence coin measured 23.59 millimeters in diameter and weighed 5.65 grams. It had a milled edge, a series of small ridges around the edge that helped prevent counterfeiting and made it easier to identify by touch. The coin's small size and bright metallic shine made it one of the more distinctive coins in circulation during the late 1970s and early 1980s. The Royal Mint produced the 1979 Five New Pence coins at its new facility in Llantrisant, Wales, which had been opened in 1968 to handle the vast demands of decimal coin production. This facility represented a new era of technology and precision in coin minting, and the 1979 coins are a testament to the mint's high-quality standards. Each coin struck was a blend of tradition and innovation, carrying centuries of heritage into a modern age. Economically, 1979 was a notable year in British history. It marked the beginning of Margaret Thatcher's premiership, a period that brought major economic reforms and shifts in policy. The Five New Pence coin circulated widely during this transformative time, serving as a small yet constant presence in the lives of millions of Britons. It passed through countless hands, shops, and transactions, an everyday symbol of national continuity amid social and political change. Numismatically, the 1979 Five New Pence is not considered rare, as millions were minted for general circulation. However, coins in uncirculated or proof condition are sought after by collectors, particularly those who collect full-year sets or specialize in the early decimal series. These coins, when preserved in mint condition, showcase the fine details of the designs and the craftsmanship of the Royal Mint during this period. The 1979 issue also holds a certain nostalgic charm for collectors and citizens alike. For many people in the UK, this coin recalls an era of simpler transactions, pocket money, and early exposure to the decimal system. The new pence inscription makes it historically distinct, connecting it directly to the early years of decimalization before the terminology changed permanently in 1982. In the years that followed, the Royal Mint decided to reduce the size of the 5 pence coin in 1990, making the original large-sized 5 New Pence coins obsolete by 1993. Thus, the 1979 version represents the original larger design that was eventually withdrawn from circulation. The smaller replacement coin continues to this day as part of modern UK currency, but with a different design and proportion. For collectors, the 1979 5 New Pence coin is a piece of living history, a tangible link between pre-decimal Britain and the modern age. It tells a story not just of currency, but of a nation redefining its identity in a rapidly changing world. Under Queen Elizabeth II's reign, coinage designs were modernized while still paying homage to centuries of British symbolism and tradition. In today's market, a circulated 1979 5 New Pence coin usually holds minimal face value, as it is no longer legal tender in its original size. However, in pristine uncirculated condition or as part of a proof set, it can be worth a few pounds to collectors who appreciate its design and historical relevance. The real value, however, lies in its heritage and symbolism rather than its monetary worth. Overall, the 1979 5 New Pence coin stands as a proud representation of the United Kingdom's transition into the modern era of decimal coinage. It carries the elegance of Queen Elizabeth II's early coin portraits, the national pride of the Scottish thistle, and the practical strength of the Royal Mint's craftsmanship. Though small in size, this coin captures a rich chapter in Britain's monetary and royal history, a timeless relic of the late 20th century that continues to shine in collections around the world. Thank you for reading about the full history of the 1979 5 New Pence coin, a true symbol of British heritage, royal legacy, and numismatic beauty. Dizzy. Next up, the 1980 5 New Pence coin from the United Kingdom represents an important era in British numismatic history, a period when the country was transitioning from the traditional pre-decimal system to the decimal currency introduced in 1971. The 5 New Pence denomination was introduced as part of this decimalization process to replace the old shilling, which had a similar value. By 1980, the coin had become a familiar part of daily life in Britain, symbolizing a modernized and streamlined monetary system under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. The obverse front side of the 1985 New Pence coin features the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This portrait, designed by Arnold, depicts the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a wedding gift from her grandmother, Queen Mary. This image is elegant, youthful, and refined, showcasing the Queen's timeless poise. Around the portrait is the Latin inscription, Elizabeth IIDGREG. FD 1980, which stands for Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This inscription continues a long-standing tradition of British monarchs expressing both their divine right and their constitutional duty. The reverse backside of the coin was designed by Christopher Ironside, a renowned British artist who created several iconic designs for the decimal coins introduced in 1971. The reverse design of the 5 New Pence coin features the badge of Scotland, which consists of a thistle royally crowned. The thistle, Scotland's national emblem, has been a symbol of strength, endurance, and pride for centuries. The design also includes the denomination new pence above and the number 5 below the emblem, clearly indicating its value in the decimal system. The 1985 new pence coin was struck in a metal alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This composition gave the coin a bright silvery appearance and made it resistant to corrosion, ensuring durability for circulation. The coin had a diameter of 23.59 millimeters, a weight of 5.65 grams, and a milled reeded edge, which prevented coin clipping and added tactile distinction. These technical specifications were consistent with the earlier 5 new pence coins minted since 1968. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, Britain was experiencing various economic and social changes, and coinage often reflected the nation's evolving identity. The 1985 new pence coin circulated widely across the UK, used for everyday purchases from newspapers to bus fares. Despite being a small denomination, it carried significant value in ordinary life and symbolized the modern British economy under Queen Elizabeth II's steady leadership. One interesting feature of the 1980 issue is that it still carried the words new pence. The word new had originally been added to all decimal coins from 1971 to help distinguish them from the old pre-decimal currency. However, by 1980 the decimal system had been in place for nearly a decade, and people were well accustomed to it. Thus in 1982, just 2 years later, the Royal Mint replaced new pence with simply 5 pence. The 1980 version is therefore among the last few issues to bear the new pence inscription, making it historically significant for collectors. The 1985 new pence was struck at the Royal Mint in South Wales. The Royal Mint, one of the oldest institutions in the world, has produced coins for the British Isles for over 1,100 years. During this time, coinage quality, precision, and artistry improved tremendously. The 1980 coin showcases this craftsmanship perfectly, with clean details and a balanced design that remained iconic in British coinage for over 2 decades. By 1980, millions of these coins were minted for general circulation, making them common at the time. However, as years passed, many were either withdrawn, lost, or replaced by the smaller-sized 5 pence coin introduced in 1990. This smaller version was more convenient for modern use and aligned better with other denominations. As a result, the original large-size 5 new pence coins like the 1980 issue were demonetized in 1990, meaning they were no longer legal tender. Even though the 1985 new pence coin is no longer in circulation, it remains a favorite among collectors. Its connection to the early decimal era, the beautiful Scottish thistle design, and the use of the new pence inscription make it a classic collectible. Many collectors seek coins from 1980 in uncirculated or proof condition, where the fine details of the Queen's portrait and the thistle are still sharp and lustrous. In terms of value, most circulated examples of the 1985 new pence are worth only their face value or slightly above, typically around 10 pence to 50 pence GBP to collectors. However, brilliant uncirculated BU or proof coins, especially those preserved in Royal Mint sets, can fetch higher prices ranging from £2 to £5 GBP or more, depending on condition and presentation. The value increases further if the coin is graded by professional coin services and certified as mint state condition. The 1985 new pence also carries sentimental value for many Britons who grew up during the decimal transition period. It reminds them of a simpler era, when coins were heavier, larger, and carried national symbols representing unity among England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. The thistle on this coin especially connects to Scotland's rich cultural heritage within the United Kingdom. Collectors often distinguish the 1985 new pence as part of the large type series, issued between 1968 and 1981. These coins are distinct from the smaller-sized 5 pence pieces introduced in 1990. The large-size coins are appreciated for their classic proportions and detailed engraving, features that are harder to replicate on smaller modern coins. Over the decades, the 1980 issue has become more than just a piece of money. It's a small piece of history from the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, one of the longest-reigning monarchs in British history. The coin's design captures her youthful profile and the pride of the Scottish thistle, symbolizing unity and endurance, two values that define the Queen's reign and the strength of the British nation. For numismatists, the 1985 new pence coin marks an interesting turning point, near the end of the new pence era and just before a major design change. Collecting this coin offers insight into the evolution of British coinage both artistically and historically. Its design simplicity, strong national symbolism, and high minting quality make it a valuable addition to any UK coin collection. In conclusion, the 1985 new pence coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II stands as a lasting tribute to Britain's modernization and heritage. It bridges the gap between the old imperial system and the new decimal currency, between history and progress. Though small in size, it represents a proud chapter of British minting, one of beauty, symbolism, and enduring legacy. For collectors and history lovers alike, this coin remains a fascinating artifact from a transformative period in the United Kingdom's story.